Support for this podcast comes from the law firm of Davis Malm. Whether you're a developer, property owner, manager, or commercial tenant, their real estate attorneys know the lay of the land, not just the law. Learn more at davismalm.com.
WBUR Podcasts, Boston.
I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and you're listening to The Common. The record demand for space in the Massachusetts family shelter system continues as the state scrambles to find space for the influx of families seeking a place to stay. WBUR senior health and science reporter Gabrielle Emmanuel has been our eyes and ears through this issue, and she took a deeper look at the families at the heart of it. She found that roughly half of them are newly arrived migrants, most of them are from Haiti, and this is not the first time they've had to start over somewhere new. So having said that, Gabriella is here with us today to tell us more about their journey from Haiti to Massachusetts. Gabriella, thank you so much for coming through to The Common once again.
It is good to be here, like always.
So, Gabriella, your story doesn't actually start in Haiti. It starts right here in Milton, Massachusetts. Take us there.
Yeah, so there is a church there, a vibrant kind of Haitian congregation. It actually meets in another church's building. On Sunday mornings, you can hear prayers coming out of the space in Haitian Creole. I would say there are about 100 congregants when I was there. Many of them are new to Massachusetts and staying in the family shelter system. So this congregation actually sends a van around to different shelter spots to bring people to the church on Sunday mornings. They also send out Ubers, Lyft, taxis to bring people there. And one of the things you notice is that people there are praying for their family and relatives that are still in Haiti, and they're praying for the country.
Why are they praying for the country?
So Haiti is a country that has long known hard times. The reverend at this congregation, his name is Drefleur Florissant, but he's affectionately called Pastor Kiki. And he actually spoke to me about many of the issues. They go all the way from kind of natural disasters, hurricanes, earthquakes that we've all heard about in the news over many, many years, as well as political turmoil. We've heard about the assassination of the president a few years back. Also, these issues are now compounded by a lot of violence and instability. Here he is.
We have seen lately the infestation of gang activities in Haiti. So all those factors contribute to the displacement of those families to here.
So he said there are a lot of things that have driven people to leave, but it's kind of the confluence of all these issues together.
Mm-hmm. And now, when people leave, right, what's the journey like from Haiti that eventually brings them to Massachusetts?
Yeah, so I've spoken to many different Haitian families over the course of my reporting, and almost all of them left Haiti 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago. And they initially went to Brazil or Chile. Those were two countries where it was relatively easy to get in terms of visa requirements. There were actually humanitarian visas or no visa requirements for a period of time. And they were also very stable economies. For example, Brazil was gearing up for the World Cup. Jobs were plentiful back then. And in many cases, things were good initially. People found jobs, and they were able to have some stability. But over time, things have changed, and many families decided to make a second migration. I spoke to one gentleman who left Haiti for Chile 6 years ago. His name is Jano Bocage, and he worked on a farm in Chile, but then he said things got harder. Here he is.
M'kadou l'autre nation yo vide Chili comme si Pérou vient yo, vous comprenez? Yo vide en quantité, yo vinn faire racisme avec nous.
So what he's saying there is that new immigrants arrived from other Latin American countries where their country had become unstable, and they went to Chile, to Brazil, and then they were actually competing for jobs. And Bocage talks about experiencing racism. And he's not clear if this is because of the color of their skin, they have darker skin, or because they, in general, had to learn Spanish as a second language. But he said it became really hard as they started competing to find work. And there's actually a good bit of research that backs up exactly what he's saying. Will Freeman from the Council on Foreign Relations walked me through some of the data, and he said that Haitians actually are the group that has experienced the most workplace discrimination. He said workplace discrimination is one big force, but there are also a couple of other things that are going on that are motivating people to do this second migration, to uproot once again. And one of those things is that the path north has become somewhat less daunting. This is even true of the notorious jungle passage that is known as the Darien Gap in Panama.
It's still, of course, an extremely dangerous route. But now when you cross that area, I mean, there's like a clear-cut path through the jungle. There are, places to buy food and migrant guides like along the way.
Freeman said there's one other factor here that's really pushing people forward, and this is a sense of urgency driven by the political debate here in the U.S. around immigration, and a sense that it could soon become much harder to get into the U.S. So he said there's a widespread perception that now is the time to come if you are going to come.
We're going to take a break, but we'll be right back.
Did you kill Marlene Johnson?
I think you're one of the first people to have actually asked.
From WBUR and ZSP Media, this is Beyond All Repair, a new podcast about an unsolved murder that will leave you questioning everything.
Somebody should be in jail for murdering my sister.
A woman who's never been believed.
As long as they think I have done this, then they're not looking for who actually did this.
And that's what makes it a cold case.
No, it's a botched case.
And a search for the truth, once and for all.
Wow, it just gets more interesting.
Beyond All Repair. Listen and follow wherever you get your podcasts.
Be careful. You're digging in a place that's been very peaceful for a while.
Do it anyway. Dig.
And we're back with more from Gabrielle, Emmanuel. So we're talking about the journey of migrants from Haiti to Massachusetts. What are some of the challenges they're facing once they get here?
There are lots of challenges. I've spoken to families who've recounted really kind of devastating stories along the border on that journey up. One spoke about her son getting stuck underneath a border fence. Others have spoken about the challenges when they're here in Massachusetts and in the U.S., accessing food, accessing housing, the basics, being able to work. If you don't have, a work permit, it's very hard to sustain your own life if you don't have the ability or the permission to work.
Yeah. And, right now we are in this political climate that can be hostile to immigrants and immigration, right? How are they navigating that right now?
Yeah, so many of the families that I've spoken to have actually gone to another state in the U.S. before coming to Massachusetts. And when I have spoken to them, it's often been that anti-immigrant sentiment that has then driven them to Massachusetts, where people have said, oh, try Massachusetts. They may be friendlier, they may have a better support network, and there is this vibrant Haitian community already established here that might be able to welcome you. So, for example, several people I've spoken to have referenced a law in Florida that took effect this last summer that made it more challenging for migrants to get work, to get IDs, and it even required some hospital staff to ask about a patient's immigration status. And this had a real deterrent effect on families wanting to stay in Florida if they felt like they couldn't access medical care and also couldn't work.
Right. And Gabriella, you mentioned the Haitian community here in the city, and city data shows Haitians are the third largest foreign-born population in Boston. So I'm curious to know, how are newly arrived Haitian migrants finding community here in the area, like you found in Milton, for example?
I think there are a couple answers to this. One piece is that people who come knowing someone or with a relative or a friend have been able to integrate and tap into that community. Others who have gone into the shelter system and maybe don't have those connections have reported feeling much more isolated here. They may meet other Haitians, but those are other Haitians who are newly arrived. So there are, I think, some people who've been able to tap into that community and find this very vibrant, close-knit community, and others have not accessed it quite as much, possibly because they're put in a shelter that's maybe far away geographically from where the Haitian community is.
So, Gabriella, I want to go a little further back into the history of Haiti, right? It's the first free Black republic. You know, it won its independence from the French in the early 1800s. Over its history, it has endured a lot of foreign intervention that has stifled its development, right? And I wonder, did any of that come up in your reporting?
I have to say nobody went that far back into history. As far back as they went was pretty much the earthquake in Haiti in January of 2010. This is, I believe, the second most fatal earthquake that we have in, our recorded history, with, hundreds of thousands of people who died. And it was in the wake of that, when many people's houses were destroyed, that people began to look to other countries thinking, what might be a more promising place to live? Where else can I make my home?
So, Gabriella, I want to turn this question toward you. What made you want to do this story?
Yeah, so this story actually came out of conversations with volunteers and employees that have worked in the shelter system with the new arrivals. And they themselves were saying they didn't know what had initially motivated people to go to Chile. They know they'd been there, but they didn't know why. And they didn't know why they then left Chile. What happened in Chile? So I actually set out initially just asking people out of personal curiosity. And then the patterns and the themes that I saw emerge were very strong. There were these consistent things. I heard about Brazil. I heard about Chile again and again and again. And finally, when I took this to kind of some of the elders, if you will, within the Haitian community, they verified and confirmed a lot of what I'd been hearing. And I felt like it would be helpful for listeners and readers who often hear about this undifferentiated mass, migrants or new arrivals, to understand what motivated them at different steps in the journey and what history and baggage they are bringing as they arrive in Massachusetts.
So, Gabriella, thank you so much for coming through to The Common with this story that reminds us of the people at the center of this state shelter crisis. It's easy to get lost in, numbers and statistics and dollars. So thank you so much for this reporting.
Yeah, happy to do it.
Before you go, we have to talk about the fact that you're leaving us, Gabriella.
I know. I'm very sad about it.
What's the deal? I mean, tell us, where are you going?
I am going to NPR, where I'll be covering global health.
You're going to the mothership.
Exactly.
Will you come back and visit us from time to time?
Yes, I am staying local, so I will be working remotely.
Superb. Well, Gabriella, we at The Common want to thank you so much for always taking the time to come talk with us. And, we look forward to talking to you in your future capacity. Thank you so much.
Sounds great. Thank you.
And that's our show for today. Thank you so much for listening to The Common. If you like what you're hearing, please go to wherever you're listening to podcasts, especially Apple or Spotify. Rate and review us. Let us know how you're liking the show. We'd really, really appreciate it. And if you want to get in touch with us, hit us up on Instagram at WBUR The Common, or send us an email at thecommon@wbur.org. I'm Daryl C. Murphy, and I will talk to you tomorrow.